Hello, everybody. This is John Blank, Chief Equity Strategist of Zacks Investment Research, and I'm about to take on the 2023 big investor moments in tech. I'm just going to do a little differently this time around because I want to talk about some TV shows that I've done that I think fit together really well as a theme. Apple Investor Day, of course, going to lead our way on investor moments in tech, I think, followed by Tesla Investor Day. Got to keep that stock in mind and that company in mind. Part three, I'm going to throw in Snap Investor Day. I think Snap is important, particularly now with Hollywood strike and the basic story of the cell phone and the use of it still matters a lot. It is the story that we need to consider. And then part four, if we get to it, is investing in AI stocks. Finally, I do have an addendum on this, which is also going to include all kinds of chip and auto battery stuff. So that's really the sum total. This is a kind of a big data dump of probably 100 slides here. So you're going to need to get these from Zacks at some point in time and take a look through all of this yourself. This is the material that I put together for some TV shows over this last year, and I think it tells a really compelling story. So I'm going to go through this. It's going to be a little longer than most productions that I've done here for Zacks, but I think this is really important because I'm taking a look through the entire year up to basically September here. So we've got basically, 8 of the 12 months in hand. And it's been quite momentous what's happened here. I've also want to let everybody know that the share slides that I do produce today are updated to August the 28th. So while the investor days will be back in April and in March and June, I will have all the materials from Zacks at least the share price level and the earnings level updated to August 28th. So again, it's kind of like summarizing where we're at in this whole business of tech. Tech is the big issue this year. AI, of course, we've got to have it in there, but I really want everybody to understand that my basic thesis here is that we've got these major companies, Apple, decades old, Tesla, probably 15 years old, Snap, about 12 years old. And out of the blue, we've got AI stocks, but they're being built in. AI is being built into this ecosystem. It's being built into Apple. It's being built into Tesla. It's being built into Snap. AI is going to be everywhere, and these big companies are happening. So my main thesis today is this idea. In the 2000 period, we had a huge internet explosion and a lot of new companies. We're 23 years from that now. So we have big companies, and what infotech is doing now with AI is very different than 2000. This is not the internet because there's existing companies. Before, the internet and the computer were eating alive the US economy and transforming it. Now, infotech is eating infotech. Infotech is eating infotech. It is creative destruction within infotech itself. That is really what AI stocks are about. That is really what AI investment is about. And it's obviously going to play out in every single one of these companies that we're talking about, plus all the other big ones. We've got to remember the big difference between 2023 and 2020 in terms of tech is now we have big, strong companies. All right. So obviously, part one, we've got to talk about Apple. Apple is an incredibly important company, the biggest stock in the United States. So I did do the investor day for CNBC back on the 5th of June, and these were my notes that I took at this time, along with updating the story of the Zacks story. So let's get first to the Zacks story. Obviously, even though you might like Apple as a stock more than you think, it's still a Zacks number 3 hold, but it has a beat for growth. And you can see over here, look at these lines here for 2024 and 2023. They're actually sinking in earnings. It's 2025 people have gotten bullish on. So really, the Vision Pro and this investor day were really out in 2025. Keep that in mind, not 2024. Yes, I said that right. 2025 is really where you should be focused on. That's what the analysts are saying. They're getting a little less bullish lately, you can see. But this is the story. Remember, we're in the later stage of 2023. We're talking. Tim Cook talked in June. He did not set the dial higher for 2023 or 2024 as far as the analysts are concerned. That's the story here, not you and me. Let's keep that in mind. All right, earnings. Look, we're going to get $6 a share in 2023 and $6.50 a share in 2024. That's flat. Like I said, look back at this slide. It's flat to declining. I mean, it's really not it's momentous story, but people are wanting that 2024 to go to 2025 story. So I can skip through a lot of this stuff and I'm going to do it, but let's keep in mind you can come back. These are the Apple summaries of the stock in our collection. And we've got the sales numbers. Remember, keep in mind at a high level, 394 billion in sales in 2022, about the same in 2023 and 2024. So this is a $400 billion company. $400 billion company. All right. So reasons to buy the shares. Obviously, you can look at through this yourself. I just want to point out is services and wearables and all the businesses that they're in services. Apple Pay is particularly important. So the real point here is that they think this is going to become kind of a source of more revenue than the products over time as the services. All right, reasons to sell shares. Of course, it's the iPhone that people worry about. It's actually the iPhone. All right, iPhone iOS 17. This is their new information that came out on information on their operating system. And they're just telling you a lot of things that they're doing. I just want to point out here that when we get back to Snap later on, messages and FaceTime and stickers are really not really Apple things. They are basically Snap things. So you got to remember they're all talking to one another. So what we see here with the iPhone, we'll get back to with Snap. It's just that a lot of their ideas are coming from the marketplace and they're coming into the iPhone group at Apple. Like I said, you can when you set your phone down, you're going to be able to see widgets, time, score of name, food. When food will arrive, there's going to be a standby moment. There's going to be a moment where you can actually look at your iPhone and have all this happen to you. So they're trying very hard to make the iPhone more important, and that's what we're going to get in here: more widgets, quicker interactions, flashcards. The Mac OS, there's going to be a Mac OS Sonoma, new screensavers. Gaming is going to be improved. And of course, Safari will be as proved and well. There'll be updates to private browsing. All right, audio and home experiences. There's going to be AirPods, AirPlays, Apple Music, SharePlays, and Zoom is coming to Apple TV. So keep that in mind here. We're talking on Zoom. Zoom is coming to Apple TV. Fascinating stuff. Now, this is more stuff to work on OS 10. We're out 10 systems on the Apple. Pretty amazing. But now this was what the real big story was with Tim Cook. It was the story of augmented reality. That was the Vision Pro. And what he said is they're seamlessly blending the real world with the digital world. So again, this is very, very important to understand. You're going to be able to see, hear, interact with digital content using your eyes, hands, and voice. So interaction will mean eyes, hands, and voice. And it will not be limited to display sizes. This is going to be the introduction to spatial computing, a fully 3D interface. It will feel truly present in your room, and it will even cast shadows. That is amazing. Just keep this in mind. This is where we're going with augmented reality. All right, so the Vision Pro 2, it's going to use the whole space around her, right in the room. It's going to be environments. It's going to be inputs using your hands, eyes, and voice. Let's get back through that. Hands, eyes, and voice, not just typing. Browsing by simply looking. Tap your fingers to select. Hands and eyes together, it will feel like magic. Voice input will be seamless. But at the minute all this happens, you will never be isolated from the actual people in the room around you. You will have eyesight, even with the Vision Pro on. All right, so this will be seamlessly blending your digital and physical world. It's going to change everything about your Bluetooth, your 3D, your Safari web pages. Everything is going to be a lot easier to read and use in Vision Pro. And that's perfect for travel. It's going to be working for remote, like as I'm doing today. And FaceTime will become spatial. You'll now be able to see everybody in FaceTime in real life size. It's kind of Star Trek, man. It's amazing. So photos and videos, DM with the light around you. You'll have the first 3D camera. You'll be making 3D photos of things you're around, and cinema environments will be huge. Also, you can watch 3D movies with that. You can look right into the movie itself with this device. So it's going to be simply amazing. They also introduced Bob Iger. I think it's really important to understand the Investor Day included Disney's Bob Iger. And he said Disney at 100 is making their vision a reality. This was talking at the Apple Investor Day, by the way. So if Bob is talking to the Apple Investor Day, you can be assured they're talking about a lot more. So we've got to watch out with how Disney and Apple interact in the next year or two. Does Apple buy ESPN? Does Apple play more? Does Disney start to produce Content for Apple, all of the above, probably. So keep this in mind. We're very at the early stages of all this. We need to keep that in mind. Vision Pro 7. What will Disney Storytelling do with Apple Vision Pro? That was something they asked at the Investor Day. Keep that in mind. It's going to be tailored to fit you. You're going to have a band and straps around you. It's going to be rich. It's going to be very tactile to work with this device. And also, you got to keep in mind they worked with the German optics company Zeiss to produce this. So this was actually quite sophisticated, and it has lots and lots of cameras. All right, so Apple M2 will now have the R1 chip in the M2 chip. So this is going to be a very updated chip environment. Like I said earlier, the real thing to pick up here is we now have products in big companies in tech. So the big news here is that the Nvidias and the chip making out there is just transforming all products, and this Vision Pro is going to be the front edge of a lot of different changes across all the Apple environments. So keep that in mind. All right, and this is an entirely new platform. It's an entirely new platform that Apple has been working on for quite some time, and they're going to obviously, put Excel, Word, Teams to be fully used in this environment, and it will have 3D. So think about what we're doing right now. This is all going to change quite dramatically down the road with Apple. All right. So what's it going to be? $3,500. A lot of people feel like this is too much money. They have over 5,000 patents in developing this. Just amazing. All right. So as Tim Cook wrapped it up, he said this is a revolutionary product. It will be spatial computing, and it will have performance, vision, and capability only Apple can provide. So that's what I'm saying. We've got these big, big companies, and they do dominate. I actually think Tim's not exaggerating that. It's only Apple can do this. Let's keep that in mind. All right, Tesla. On to the next subject here. We've got to talk about Tesla. Obviously, this is the other big company in tech, and this was now a piece of work I did back in April on the price cuts. Tesla price cuts are the big story of 2023. For sure, it's getting much more competitive out there, so let's keep that in mind. So here was what we got for earnings. I just updated this. This is back in March. You can see they had $4 to $5 and even $6 for 2024. Now look where we're at. We're down to $4.50 for 2024 in August. So this is what happened to the price cutting story. And you can see this over here with these big declines in earnings in 2023 and 2024. 2025 again, a little higher. Not much of a story there, but once again, just like Apple, people are putting the growth out in 2025, and they're much stronger about it than you might think. So keep this in mind. I mean, stock obviously had rallied up, and I put a show on around 260. I said we'd get up there when I talked about things down here. I was right about that, but now we're back much lower, and the stock shares are lower because of this story over here. People are just not seeing the earnings they used to see even 4 months ago. So the story is still evolving here, but the real story with Apple and Tesla is they're actually not having strong earnings stories in 2023. They're going down with it. It's not being as strong as people hope. And the future is both brighter in 2025. All right, so this is the deliveries. Price cuts, again, are the real issue, but they're helping deliver record deliveries. So you got to keep in mind that what Tesla's truly trying to do is build out the scale here. And that's why they're cutting prices. There is a method to their madness. All right, and they say now that puts 2 million cars per year within reach. So that's where they're headed. They're trying to get to 2 million cars in 2023. That's what they're trying to get to. All right, so they cut between 2 and 6% up on that this time. It was the fifth cut in Tesla's largest market, 5 times at this point. Pretty amazing. They took their net margin, though. You got to keep in mind their net margin is 15.4%, while General Motors is 6%. Tesla's debt, because of the way they ran their balance sheet with all the stock shareholding, is 4% versus GM at 52%. So the existing, internal combustion engine competitors like GM are simply not either anywhere near as profitable, and they have a lot more debt. So keep this in mind. Tesla really is, the story of how to build an electric car company and not have the legacy effects of the OEMs that are out there that are having to struggle with this problem. So Biden put out new incentives to encourage all this back in April, and he put it out right before Tesla's Investor Day, and they reported on the 19th, and Biden put this stuff out on the 18th. So the basic main point here is critical mineral requirements and a battery component requirement. So they're basically, you got to keep in mind that the Biden administration is really working hard to keep involved with this, and they are downstream at mineral and batteries. All right, so this also plays out in the used vehicle market for Tesla. You got to remember price cuts in Teslas are going to affect downstream into the used vehicle market for particularly Teslas. All right, other thing to remind yourself, the main competitor out here for Tesla is BYD. China and Tesla are going to be the competitors. I just want to point out here, these are the estimates for BYD. And right here, you can see they don't make as much money as Tesla right now, but they do make money at $2.5, $3.5 a share. This is a profitable company at a much lower price point. Keep that in mind. BYD is nothing to sneeze about. They are a strong company. All right, so this is more analyst material. Falling debt levels are positives. They still think there's challenges with inflation and economic concerns, but the cyclical thing is now out of the way for this because there's less worry about that recession than there was back at this point in time. All right, reasons to buy: deliveries, of course; price cuts, of course; revenue growth, of course; strong balance sheet, like we talked about. Reason to sell: competition. You can see it down there in China market. We talked about that earlier with BYD. So keep that in mind. They're also got R&D expenses and CapEx to build out that huge $2 million unit a year thing. Very, very difficult stuff. So that now gets us to the investment materials that Tesla threw out in March. This was actually a quarter before Apple, but I didn't put these in chronological order. I just think Apple is more important than Tesla still. So this is Elon Musk's big point. He wants to repower the existing grid with renewables. And he thinks there's going to be a $7 trillion manufacturing investment. And Tesla's goal is 20 million vehicles a year. Remember, we're at 2 million this year. They're going to 20 million. And he thinks the Tesla Model 3 is 4 times more efficient from oil well to wheel well for cars that are not, that are Tesla Model 3s versus, your standard oil using, gas using thing. So this is what he's after. This is his points. This is the ones he made. And he's trying to build a message of hope and optimism back there. He really tried to get into it, and he tried to talk again about nickel, lithium, zinc, and copper, all these things that are made in the batteries. He did talk about it. And he is talking about how sustainable investment includes these types of materials. So then he put on Franz and Lars as engineering guys. They talked about the Cybertruck coming out this year. That was a big thing. They talked about it. So now we're making August. We're waiting for that Cybertruck. They've got, huge giga castings. They've got stamp, body, paint, final assembly in 1922 is all scattered around. This is not the way they do that. They're doing things in parallel now. Parallel and serial assembly is the key to understanding the Cybertruck and the key to understanding Tesla. They are doing a totally different manufacturing model than anybody else had done up to now. Parallel and serial assembly. Box it out. Final assembly is done only one time. All right, that gives a 40% reduction in factory footprint. It's faster and less CapEx, and it reduces cost by 50%. So that's why they get that lower profit margin. Franz and Lars, they're manufacturing here. They're telling you exactly what you need to know about why Tesla is such a tough competitor. All right, then they get their powertrains focused on efficiency, right? And they're integrating work that is usually farmed out back into this thing, and they're in-house software. They make decisions really fast. Keep that in mind. Their next driver will be even more scalable, and it will be smaller, and there will be no rare earth materials to be used. So they're really working hard on the powertrain. Keep that in mind. The battery, they've got more stuff going on here. They're going to have more of everything. You get more of everything. Software-controlled hardware. It will instill intelligence, context, and awareness. You will get more out of every battery that comes from the Tesla. Then that's going to replace the lead acid. Then we're going to lithium, and then 12 volts will last for 60 years. The low voltage architecture on the Cybertruck, though, will give a 4-time reduction in current. All right, then they went on to software. They're going to test early and test often on this, the autonomous thing, and they're looking at the autonomous fleets as another source of advantage that they're building. So they've got multi-camera live feeds. They've got raw data they're coming in. They're working on new video caches and new ways to get those. And they think the full self-drive is 5 to 6 times safer now than driving your car. Use the car more right now. That's the idea. Use the car for more right now. Full self-driving. Then he brought Elon Musk back. He talked about the Optimus robot and other things. And he talked about how this is another thing that Tesla is going to learn how to build robots out of the Tesla experience. And then they got into charging. We've seen a lot of things all later up this year about everyone linking up to the charging. They really made a lot of progress on this charging. This girl, Rebecca, handled this discussion, and she's saying they have 20% lower cost at charging now. They're pre-building superchargers in a factory in New York and train them into position. Again, a totally different way of doing everything. This is also including the charging systems. So 30% quicker tire times, ready to serve all vehicles. We learned that really did matter because GM and Ford and other groups are joining up on this network, and all the non-Teslas on a global basis are hitting the charge on this for sure. All right, so tier one and tier two suppliers, they've got 3,000 at tier one, direct to Tesla, and then another 21,000 behind that. And they're managing the tier two, the suppliers to the suppliers, to get the supply chain to work. Keep that in mind. It's the tier two suppliers, Tesla's suppliers supplying the Tesla suppliers, not direct to Tesla. That's where they can get a lot of work done, and they're doing a lot of work. So keep that in mind. All right, so this is what they've got. They have 4 vehicle factories right now: Austin, Berlin, Shanghai, and Fremont, and they're building 4 million Tesla built now. Really amazing. Can they get to 20 million with this infrastructure? Keep that in mind. That's what they're going to do. This is an amazing operation, amazing growth story. So simplicity up, investment down, scale up. Like I said, they're working on this problem here. Megapack Energy, another business that's growing at 65% growth a year. Amazing. So they can get all this done, and it's called, and introduce all this with 30% reduction in the Model 3 and a 50% of cost plan in the next generation vehicle. They have never brought the whole team out like this they did today. Remember that Tesla's Investor Day didn't just focus on Elon Musk. It focused on this whole team. That's key. All right, let's get to Snap now. Let's talk about Snap, another company that did an investor report. And let's get into the investment. This was about early. This was done back in February. Not as important, like I said. I'm going to go through Apple first, Tesla second, and Snap third. I do not think Snap is as important, but it's still, because of the young audience that they get a hold of, it's worth talking about. So there's the trend. Look at this. This is the key to understanding the Hollywood strike and a whole issue in Los Angeles right now. This is August 28th data. The company makes no money. The company makes no money. Keep that in mind. They are buying content like crazy to get the advertisers on Snap, and it doesn't make money. Well, this is the bigger problem. You saw that Tesla is going to make money, but less. Apple is making money, but less. And Snap makes no money. So we've got some issues with earnings in the tech businesses already that is showing up. And as we all know, the valuations are very high. We'll get to the final one, which is AI, which is keeping those valuations high. But keep in mind that right now, it's a 2025 story. You see earnings come up for the big companies, and Snap is no different here. You see they're trying to push out earnings at 8 cents a share for 2024. Very unlikely even that happens. So what's the stock look like? It's way down, folks, and it's following its earnings down. So Snap really had a big run up in the COVID period, but now it is doing truly poorly. You can see that over here. Really a nasty looking stock for this point in time. And they need to make money. It's not that complicated. Look again at this. You can see they don't make money. Just look at the green to the red, and then onward. There's just no money to be made in Snap. But the sales, $5 billion in sales, right? Here's the sales and the EPS. You got to see that Snap is built to sell. It's like an Amazon. They're built to sell, but they do not make money. All right. Valuations out of line with their reality. Really not a great story here for Snap. The reasons to buy is it's only the benefit among the teenagers. That's the whole story here, is their strong base in the teenage market. Reason to sell, of course, is they have no diversification. They have stiff competition from all kinds of players, and their close rival Facebook is mimicking a lot of Snap's features. So this is a really competitive market, as we all learned. Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Amazon Prime. I mean, they're in this content business with a lot of big players. And obviously, we already learned that Disney's talking to Apple. So that's one strategy that's playing out away from them. All right. So this is the ad businesses, and you can see digital ad spending continues to drive up from 90 billion to over 440 billion over the last, number of years. I guess that would be going out to 2027. We're going to see a huge run up, and it's going to keep on building. That's what they're counting on to get this growth. I don't know if it's going to happen. They say that digital ad spending amounts to $950 per user. So all these groups, they're all fighting over $950 per user on the internet for digital ad spending. It's digital ad spending, by the way, not actually responding to the ads. It's the amount of money they get from advertisers. So it's going to grow 9-10%, and they put out the PowerPoint deck here. Go ahead and look at Snap. It's an interesting story. I want to finish though with the story we all know is really kicking these tires because the earnings are not up for Apple. They're not up for Tesla, and they're not up for Snap. What's up is investing interest in AI stocks. So Jeremy Mullen did this back in April. He did a great job, and it was later produced as a CNBC segment. Great information here. Again, most of all, I wanted you to get hold of these slides to read through what I have for you as an investment story. So this is the hottest sector in the stock market right now. And this is about making things better. This is a much like crystal technology, investors cannot get enough of the opportunity. There's a lot to learn about. However, it's very hard for the average person to commit to learning about such an advanced economy. And this is a big mistake. You need to learn about this. So many investors want to use stocks that are already making moves in the market. There's nothing wrong with playing in this spectrum, but there are many ways to approach the sector for more risk-averse investors. So keep this in mind. We're looking into this at Zacks. We're talking about it all the time. And this is a hot sector. The Chat GPT obviously changed everything. Chat GPT is really important. I put the blue one out. Important is Chat GPT is really smart, a really smart computer that can talk to people like you and me and help answer questions or have conversations. It's kind of like having a robot friend who knows lots of stuff. That's basically what it is. And that is going to be transforming everything. It started with Chat GPT a year ago, and we're still moving forward. So how can businesses use that? This is a great slide for that important. We're still in the early stages that are using, but the advanced chatbot is used for customer service, hiring, decision-making, marketing, product design, language interpretation, and many forms of automation. So this is getting used, and it's called deep learning. All right, so we are already seeing, you can look down through the list of already using this in business. So industry cases. So the reason this matters is, but the use cases are more realistic. Keep that in mind. The use cases are more realistic here than crypto. That's important. So here's a list of the groups that can make a difference here: defense, education, energy, entertainment, farming, finance, healthcare, manufacturing, retail, transportation. As you can see, there will be changes in every industry because of this technology. It's going to be big. So the pros and cons. For the short term, the growth potential, of course, is great, but the problem, of course, is it's about the risk. The space is moving so fast, and there's so much uncertainty, right? We just simply don't know where all this is going. So this is the big pros and cons of investing. So these are the ones you should know about in the AI stocks. I just want to point out here, look who we have here. Tesla is number one here. Alphabet and Amazon, Microsoft, IBM, and NVIDIA. So these are the AI stocks you know well. And these are AI stocks, people. People, this is mine. Big company stocks are AI stocks. So these are the ones you know well. And we've already talked about Tesla being an AI stock. It actually is. It didn't even come from their investor day, but it certainly is the case. All right, here's the ones you may not know, and go ahead and look online. C3 AI is one that you can buy. Digital Turbine, APPS ticker, and SoundHound, ticker SOUN. Go ahead and look at those companies online. Go to their website and find out. So again, you've got the big companies we've talked about today that will use AI. That's why people are getting excited about those big companies again. And you've got a couple small companies you've never heard of that you should take a look at because they're also quite important for this whole story. So here's the market movers and how they can go up, 100, 200% this year. That really got people excited. So in summary, it's no secret that ChatGPT and are changing the world. Companies like Tesla, IBM, Microsoft, and Apple and Amazon have been at the forefront of development. They are in this market. Keep this in mind. This is a big company market. That was my point when I made earlier. This is not going to be driven by the small companies. It's going to be driven by the large ones, and it's tech eating tech. That's the story here. So I just want to finish up with the addendum of chips. If you want this slide deck, I've got lots of material on chips. You can go through all of this. It's great stuff. I got the chips and SiON-X, the battery vehicles, Taiwan Semi, of course, Argonne Labs, lithium-ion batteries, and that's it for me. John Blank, Chief Equity Strategist at Zacks. I just wanted to do this slideshow because I really think we need the year in review to understand A, these big companies are not improving earnings this year or next year. It's 2025, and it's all about this AI business being important for those companies. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed my discussion today, and you can find online all these slides at Zacks Advisor Tools. Give us a call, reach out to us, and take advantage of the information that I have supplied here. You can certainly get a hold of this material like you can for all of our slides. Thank you.